Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome back to a StarCraft video. Now today, I've got a really awesome one for you. This is a best of 5 series between the current best 2 Terran players on the planet. And more so, there's been a long time rivalry between these 2 players, so I am excited to be bringing these games for you because supposedly these matches are going to be awesome. Spawning here on the right hand side of Automaton LE in game number 1 of this series and playing with the blue Terran SCVs. He's from South Korea and he goes by the name of TY. And his opponent spawning on the left hand side, playing with the red Terran SCVs. Also from South Korea, we are looking inside of the main base of Maru. Now, massive shout out to Wardy who provided me these replays to go ahead and cast. He mentioned that apparently this series was awesome and I can imagine why. So Maru and TY have faced off against each other several times in the past. Once upon a time back in 2017, they faced off in the grand finals at WESG. At the time, it was TY who ended up winning that event for $200,000 as the first place prize. Back in 2018, however, at the GSL Code S, it was Maru who came out victorious, and actually Maru ended up winning all of the GSL Code S's in 2018, which is arguably speaking, outside of maybe BlizzCon, the most prestigious tournaments in SC2. It's absolutely ridiculous. So Maru, while he didn't have the greatest showing at BlizzCon in 2018, there's no denying that he is still one of the very, very best. And I actually consider TY to be the second best Terran player right now. Statistically speaking, on a league elect, that is also true. I think the only one who comes close is maybe Innovation, but you know, while there's great Terran players out there, like for example Gumiho, Bunny, Cure, I definitely do think that Maru and TY are at the very, very tippity top of that mountain. So we'll see where this one is going to take us. Already, we do see TY sending out an SCV right here towards the left-hand side of the map. The factory is just about to finish up, so I think this has to be for a little bit of proxy play. Already, though, Maru with the star senses knowing very well... That is so sick, right? That is so sick. Oh, man, that is not enjoyed right there by Mr. TY. Ooh, I don't know if these guys are friends or if they're rivals or how they feel about each other's playstyle, but Maru immediately with the star senses sends a Reaper right over there and he found the proxy immediately. Now obviously this isn't gonna hurt TY all too much. He's gonna be able to restart up that starport right here inside of his main as well, but it will force him into a more defensive posture. Maru is gonna try and push the advantage by going for a command center on the low ground. These are the kind of things that set these players apart, okay? It almost looks as if they're using map hacks. Like that move right there from Maru is just so like, how do you even come up with that? Obviously, the chances of your opponent proxying right over there are rather high, and if you know the timing of when a starport should go up, it's always worth checking, but still. It's one of these things where if you were a ladder player and you saw your opponent do that, you probably accused him of hacking. Once again, this is another one of those moments. Look at that. Maru expecting this little move right here. 3 Reapers on either side. He's got the high ground advantage, and he will be able to get the first hit. That does mean that one of these Hellions will go down. And those little moves, they separate the best from the very best. So sick. So sick. Anyhow. Oh man, this is only game 1. We're only a couple minutes in. I'm excited for this. 2019 is going to be such a sick year though. Like, no kidding, right? The quality of games has gone up drastically in 2018. I think in general, the skill level right now required to play at this level is insane. And just these little moves, right? We see them more and more. I'm really curious to see where things are gonna settle in 2019, because, man, I think we're in for a treat. Anyways. Cyclone opener right here from TY is going to make at least one of them. He already did send out a Liberator towards the left-hand side of the map as well. That means that he's going to be able to start putting in a little bit of pressure. At the same time, though, we do see one of those Cyclones making their way across the map for Maru as well. He's going to be able to potentially actually cancel that command center, or at the very least kill the SCV that's building it. For now, though, it does look like TY is gonna be fine, and the Reaper grenades are gonna allow Maru's units to retreat right now as well. The Liberator, though, at the same time, did manage to get the siege up right there, and that's gonna deny a lot of mining time, plus a lot of lost SCVs as well. TY is still chasing down Maru, and obviously while Maru did have that quicker expansion, yeah, he definitely did end up losing quite a lot of SCVs there in the process. The same can be said, though, right here inside of the main base of TY, a Liberator did just get shut down, but I think all things considered, Maru is still the one who came out ahead of this, even though a little bit of damage was done, but TY is looking to change that right now. Loved his little move. He did get himself that really quick medevac. Already a Raven is out here for Maru. Ooh, not getting the interference matrix just yet. But regardless, this is already looking like a really high-level match. I try my best to explain those little small details that these players are going for, and yeah, I hope I'm doing a decent job there, because it's tricky to say exactly why they are making certain moves. There's a lot of mind games at play as well, right? They're not just playing against the opponent, but they're also playing the matchup, and they're trying their very best, well, to outsmart each other at every single point. Also, by the way, if you're looking to learn how to play TVT, I don't think studying these games is going to be all too helpful, because they are going to try and be like just a little bit greedier than their opponent, and the amount of scouting info they get and the small little reads, they are the things that really do add up. Love little moves like this, for example, right? That's technically a bad positioning right there by Maru on that supply depot. Look at the range. That's a dead supply depot, and that's now going to supply block Maru. Already, though, he did queue up another one of those supply depots, and he should be okay. CC is also going to finish in a little bit, and that's going to unlock more supply, but it's these little moves that really do end up making a difference at this level of play. I love the use, by the way, of the Cyclone lately. It's so cool. It's so microable right now. Anyway, double engineering bay right now coming up here for our Terran player in red. We don't see anything along those lines just yet for TY. Instead, going now also for that third command center, but I like what Maru is doing here. He's taken a small little advantage in the early game, and rather than like pushing for the victory immediately, he decides to get more ahead, right? So he built himself a couple of those Ravens, which can definitely provide a lot of usefulness in both the interference matrix, but also, of course, with the anti-armor missile. But he already built himself the third CC and now also the double upgrades. Even building the CC right here inside of the natural instead, just to try and make sure that it will not get cancelled. Now, this is a bit of a curious siege position. Both players trying to scan each other, trying to get the perfect vision here as well. Keep in mind, the Cyclone is basically as expensive as a siege tank. And while they don't have nearly as much hit points, they have a lot of potential here. There you go. TY with the star senses. He's going to be able to start locking onto one of those. And that's a beautiful move. He's going to be able to pick that off with ease. And that now all of a sudden allows TY to obtain that supply lead as well. These are the moves that are very important. Oof. One Raven almost being killed right there as well. The Cyclones once again picking up another tank, but they do also both have to pay for that with their lives. There we go, though. The little turrets, the auto turrets are being deployed as well. TY is going to siege up just barely outside of the range. Maru not sieging up one of those tanks right there on purpose, trying to pick up as much as possible. And I do think that TY is the one who obtained the advantage there. Very technical fight there. You can see the value right here of the Ravens, though. Love that, right? You've really been able to see them becoming more and more popular over the last couple of months in TVT. TVT initially with the Cyclone change was in a bit of an awkward spot. Not everyone knew exactly where to go. But I think right now we finally settled to a point where everyone sort of has a good understanding of where the meta should be headed. Vikings will be landed, and they deal a lot of damage nowadays. They do bonus to mechanical, so that allows them to pick up, for example, one of those retreating siege tanks almost immediately. Man, we're only in game number 1, and it looks like we are in for a really solid match here. Sometimes we see TVT ending very early on. Oftentimes, if one player gets like a reasonable advantage, they will try and push for the victory immediately. In this case, though, there's a lot of respect between these two players as well. They're gonna try and sit back and macro up a much bigger army. Both right now mining from that third base, of course, an armory even coming up right now for Maru. Getting himself a sensor tower in a pretty solid position as well. So that's obviously gonna allow him a lot of vision around this area to scout incoming drops and whatnot. No sensor tower inside of the main base just yet, but that's exactly where these Vikings, as well as that Raven, are gonna roam, just in case TY would attempt some sort of drop play. I love this though, right? Look at that. Little small groups of units are being sent out across the map. Depots are being put up in clever positions as well, just to make sure they can keep track of the opponent's players' army movement as well. And speaking of which, it does look like Maru may very well attempt to do a bit of a move out right here. 4th command center already coming up here for TY, so he's gonna favor himself getting more economy rather than more army right now. He's finishing up a couple of these reactors, so he should be able to finally start bringing up that army count quite a bit as well. Tanks not sieged up just yet. Beautiful snipes there though by TY, although I think one Raven there actually may have ended up going down as well for our blue Terran player. And this position right here is a tricky one, right? Very difficult position to fight in. Now that Liberator is absolutely critical. It will be picked off immediately by those auto turrets. And obviously now, with most of those threats on the high ground gone, Maru is going to be able to lift up at the very least some of those Marines to start putting on the pressure even more so. That is going to shut down a lot of production, right? And if you manage to get on top of the production of a Terran player, that's where they are usually most vulnerable. Viking count, though, in favor right here of TY. He's going to be able to force this army forward. Oh, abusing the splash damage right there of one of those siege tanks as well. TY, though, not putting all of his units inside of the main base. Instead, opting to leave some of them behind, just in case there's going to be pressure towards the 3rd or the natural as well. That's one of those decisions that's very difficult to make. But TY looks like he's in a good position for now. But there's no denying, though, that Maru has been the one in firm control here of the early to mid game. 4th command center has finished, or 4th command center rather, has finished right here for Maru as well. He's going to be able to get a planetary fortress there. And you can see on the back of this, there's a lot more army waiting to group up with the main force as well. Jimmy the Marine, though, he's on the outlook. He's got his little shield up. He's ready to take control of this map. Not going to happen for now. Double Metavax, though, did sneak out, and that's going to allow TY to finally put on a little bit of counter pressure. Actually, as a matter of fact, there's very little available right now for Maru to deal with this. The siege tank will spawn a second one as well, but it still is going to cost him quite a bit. It may actually just force Maru to go all the way back home. Command center inside of the main base is taking a tremendous amount of damage, and actually, ooh, he's going to try and pick off the CC. Not going to happen right now, but you can see TY, he did force his army to turn around, and that's really important. If that army was still out on the map, it could have actually dealt the killing blow. In this case, though, Maru was forced to leave a lot of units. And he didn't, right? He should have left a couple more units behind there. He wanted to use the reinforcements to clean up these kind of drops. And it was just barely not enough. A base will even be constructed right now in the center of the map. Obviously, those golden minerals are very alluring. You'd like getting them, but it's also one of those bases that's relatively tricky to defend. Basically, getting into the position over here is hard. Like, siege tanks are kind of slow, and moving them in the correct location is rather tricky. Obviously, you can rally them in that direction as well. But anyways, it looks like we may be coming up here with a really big fight. Maru decides to lift up all of his units, and he's currently flying forward straight on top of all of those siege tanks as well. That will mean that a lot of them gets picked off, but is there going to be enough right now for TY to clean this up? He will be able to retreat with the tanks going into their siege mode. Maru is going to force the lift up right there on that orbital command, and that's obviously what happens if there is no planetary fortress. That threat is always there, and Maru picks up a command center. A massive advantage right now, because all of a sudden, it is going to be a 5 base economy for our red Terran player versus only 3 from the player in blue. Whew. Well, TY, apparently he's realized what he needs to do. Maru is currently out on the map. He wants to close out this game right now. However, the majority of TY's army is right here on the left-hand side. He's bypassing that sensor tower completely. Maru not realizing this just yet. He may actually be in a little bit of trouble. One of those metavacs, though, did get picked off right there by the missile turret, but this is not an easy position to get into. Still, there's a couple of siege tanks here available for Maru. He's going to try and put them into a good position as well, stemming forward to the Marines just to try and create that leeway, I suppose, here for those tanks to be able to push forward as well. And I think that Maru should be able to stay alive right here relatively easily. Great defense there, actually, by Maru. That's kind of what he wanted to do previously as well. Use the reinforcements to clean up this kind of stuff, but it didn't happen then. Anyways, TY, he lifted up the main command center and he landed it at the 4th base location. Maru, though, he's now got 2 planetary fortresses in really powerful positions. When you're behind in army supply, which is what TY is right now, usually you don't really want to engage one of those planetaries just because they can take a lot of army down just like that. Once again, great siege up right there by Maru, splitting up his army into all small little chunks, trying to defend the different areas here of the main. I almost would like him to get some more of those turrets up. Or I guess Vikings are essentially like mobile missile turrets, right? Remember in StarCraft 1 when people would like make a ring of turrets around their base? I wouldn't mind seeing that in StarCraft 2 a little bit more either. It's one of those fun things that is relatively cheap but can actually really save you in a lot of the instances. But obviously pathing in StarCraft 2 is far smarter than it is in SC1. I mean, you have more time to actually react in these kind of scenarios. Anyways, Liberator range is now coming up. Maru, he's realized the amount of air units that he needs. He's instead gonna now start switching towards Liberator play instead. Now, Liberators are very good, but once again, big boost forward. Ooh, TY, not sure if he wants to commit there. He is gonna drop off all of those units. This time around, he's bringing a lot of siege tanks as well. Once again, Maru was out in the middle of the map. He wanted to, once more, push that 4th base of his Terran opponent. This does mean that, this is a tricky one. Those Liberators can deal so much damage. Oh, another one actually does get picked off as well. This does mean that TY is basically with his back up against the wall right now. These units are essentially sacrificed inside of the main base of his opponent, but TY is using this time to once again get himself another base up. Supply-wise, he's actually been catching up rather easily right here on Maru, but obviously Maru has been maxed out for a little while as well. And this is what you do when you're maxed out. You start sacrificing some of those minerals in favor of more orbital commands. At the same time, though, big push right here in the center of the map. The repair here on the planetary is going to be enough. Siege tanks are going to be able to siege up on the low ground right now as well. And Maru shuts down one of the big pushes here from TY. Marines, though, inside of the main base are going to be picked off as well. Another command center will now be confirmed here for TY2, so he knows he's in economic trouble. He has been for basically the entirety of the game. But Maru, man, he's going to be able to pile on the pressure right now. He's trying to switch into that mass liberator army. Knowing very well that he's got the air superiority, he can force those tanks to unsiege. And that's really where this becomes a difficult game to win. And Maru is indeed the one who obtains the victory in game number 1. Alrighty, so here we are in game number 2. Maru is currently leading this series 1-0, and we find ourselves on Cerulean Fall LE. Very solid map here overall, nothing all too crazy. This is probably one of the most balanced maps right now in the SC2 meta. I'm personally a big fan of this map. I think it's a lot of fun. But anyways, let us have a look at where this game will take us. Now, by the way, for those of you curious, what ended up happening to Maru at BlizzCon? I mean, leading up to the World Championship Series, Maru was one of the top-level participants, right? He won every single premier event in Korea in 2018. He won the WESG. I think in prize money alone, Maru earned like, I don't know, give or take, like $350, like $400,000 just in prize money, right? That does not include like team salary and sponsorships and all that. It's a ridiculous amount of money. And then at BlizzCon, Maru got eliminated versus SOS 3-0 in one of the quickest series of the entire event. I think it was actually the quickest series. But anyways, Maru ended up proxying his Protoss opponent 3 times in a row. SOS responded to it brilliantly, and that was kind of the end of that. Now, ever since that series, there's been a lot of talk when it comes to balance in the TVP matchup. And in particular, after patch 4.8, where now the Cyclone requires a tech lab in order to be produced, it basically has sparked a lot of conversation. Now, when you look at balance, just the balance report, I think currently the matchup is 52% in favor of Protoss. So balance-wise, it's really nothing too crazy, and I think we can all say that it's relatively normal and nothing all too ridiculous. However, when it comes to playing the matchup, apparently a lot of top-level players, like for example Maru, think it's really difficult to play that solid, straightforward macro style when you're going up against Protoss without going for a proxy. Because apparently the amount of pressure that Protoss can throw at you it's very difficult to scout because they've got a lot of different options available, and it basically does make it difficult for Terran right now to play against Protoss at this level of play. Now, once again, statistically speaking, Terran looks to be fine in that matchup, and obviously it might very well just be a matter of time until Terran players will figure out a build that will be good against pretty much everything that Protoss has. But sometimes, you know, it's not so much balance that's the issue, but sometimes it's game design as well, right? So we'll see where this one is gonna go. Now, I love this. Both players patrolling with a couple units here back and forth. Trying to obviously distract the opposing Reaper that could be coming across the map. Obviously, you either want the SCV to take one of the hits or maybe to deal a little bit of damage, and then the Reaper that you've got left over can usually clean up or chase away the opposing Reaper as well. It's kind of a fun dynamic. But anyways, I'm curious to see where this one is going to go. So TY... cheeky, already going for that third command center really early on. Now, also favoring a reactor on the barracks as well as a second barracks. So that's now going to allow him to get a tremendous amount of Marines out. And obviously on this map, with the ramp leading up towards the natural, the Marines should be okay when it comes to dealing with, for example, Hellions early on. But there's no denying that this third CC is definitely a little bit greedy. Now, even going into upgrades as well. I love it. We'll see where this one is going to go. Maru, though, after winning game 1 and not proxying here in game 2, I guess he's feeling safe once again to just simply play that more macro-focused laid-back style. In TVT, obviously, there's a wide variety when it comes to builds. There's like 3 standard builds that you see quite often, and they're all pretty solid. Now, in this case, though, Maru is going to go for the tech lab as well as a second tech lab. So we see one factory right here with a tech lab on it, and now also the starport with a tech lab. So going for the Cyclone, and then likely the Raven here in a second. It's basically one of the safest ways of opening up right now in TVT, because Maru should be able to deal with practically everything that his opponent can throw at him right now. Obviously, the Raven, all of the 3 spells are very useful, but on top of that, it's also the tech there. So say, for example, TY decided to go for maybe some Cloaked Banshee play, Maru would also be able to just simply chase around that Banshee using the Raven, and then all of his ground units, like for example the Cyclone, can pick up all of those flying units with ease as well. So much more laid-back approach here from both players, but I do like this idea here from TY. He's going to be able to start building up a lot of economy. And with 3 mules, right, you will be able to see his economy right here skyrocket right now. Look at that. The mule is returning resources, and all of a sudden, the economy is pretty heavily in favor here of TY. Now, it will take a couple of minutes before this orbital command has paid for itself. But after that time, it's only going to start generating additional income. Only right now is Maru adding on the third command center, so that means that TY may very well be able to go for a big timing here in a little bit, knowing that his army is going to be bigger than his opponents. Now, TVT, it's actually kind of cool. This is one of the few matchups where even if you have a bigger army, you might not necessarily be able to win. That's oftentimes like not the case in, say, for example, Zerg versus Terran. Zerg can usually just push forward if they have the bigger army. In TVT, though, if you have that good defensive posture and you got units like Siege Tanks, Liberators, obviously Marines, as well as like Ravens and stuff, you can really hold a defendable position with a smaller army against a bigger force. Just because of the amount of splash damage and whatnot as well. Love it whenever Terran players do that, like timing the mules, so they are going to be able to start the resources gathering here immediately. Always kind of nice, but here we go. Where's this one going to go? Well, the scan right here inside of the main base will indeed confirm all of the production here for our Terran player in blue, and I think that Maru should recognize now roughly what's going on. Jerry, once again, out on the map as well. He's going to try and scout out what's up, and there we have it. Now Maru knows exactly what it is he's going up against. And that means that there's a lot of economy here already for TY. You can see the supply count is now going to start going in favor here for TY. Now, I wonder what Maru is going to do to try and respond against this. I mean, here's the thing. TY is going to start being able to, for example, drop inside of the main base. And Maru, he's basically forced to try and maybe take the third base right now on the low ground, which will, you know, require him to leave some of those units behind. But instead, though, he's moving out right now, trying to put on the pressure, and TY is already inside of the main base. Stimpack is not done yet for Maru, and it will be denied here. TY obviously already did finish that up as well. Siege Tanks will now also be killed. TY is going to need those medeffects up above, but at the same time, Maru is going to try and push across the map. Keep in mind, there's not that much to defend right now here for our player in blue. Maru is going to be able to get the siege tank right there with the interference matrix, so it's not going to be able to siege up. But there's no denying, though, that there's still a lot available here for TY. And indeed, he wins a quick game number 2 by going for a much more economically focused opener. Alrighty, so here we are with the score evened up. We find ourselves on Parasite LE, and I love this. TY is already sending out an SCV really early on. Now, besides opening up with, for example, the double tech lab and the 111 or the quick third command center, the option to go for a proxy is also very, very common in Terran versus Terran. We've been seeing that over the course of time in SC2, and it mostly just comes down right now to TY being scouted. If Maru identifies early enough that this is going on, he should be able to defend against the proxy barracks with ease. That's a curious position right there. I don't think I've actually ever seen barracks over there before. Usually it's like right over there, or I've seen them go down like right over there, or, you know, not actually over here. Anyway, we'll see if Maru is going to be able to figure out what it is he's going up against, and I'm also curious to see how many barracks TY decides to commit to. Sometimes it's 3 or 4, oftentimes it's only 2, so we'll see exactly how many TY is going to create here. But regardless, Maru needs to figure out what is happening. So he is indeed now sending out an SCV, but yeah. So he's also anticipating if a proxy were to go down, it's likely going to be, you know, over there or over here or... Okay, this is such a curious position, right? Technically, this is way closer, obviously, to the Terran main base. TY, knowing the scouting patterns right here of his opponent, managed to outsmart Maru here for the time being, who is now planning to go for a command center on the low ground. This can 100% hurt Maru quite a bit. There you go. Ooh. Now, SCV is still scouting. It should figure out right here in a second. Yeah, no CC on the low ground, no barracks on the high ground, and then double gas taken as well. Yeah, there we go. He should figure out that it is going on, and indeed, he immediately does cancel the command center. Now, it's only 2 barracks here for TY, so he's going to start producing 2 Reapers here at once. 1 bunker going down right here on the top of the ramp, second one right here on top of this low ground right here as well, where Reapers can jump up into. But still, the Reapers are already out, and TY is indeed the one who's got the momentum in his favor right now. Question is, though, is that going to be enough right now? Ooh, great control actually there by Maru. He did end up losing 1 SCV that was constructing the bunker, but I think it will finish up here. He's already following it up right now with a factory too. Factory obviously very useful in this scenario. If you can get yourself a Hellion out, you can micro against this for a really long time, plus you can continue teching up after the aggression gets shut down to, for example, a starport. TY, though, he's not going to be able to really get a lot of tech out just yet. Only just now adding on the factory. Keep in mind, there's no command center here for our Terran player in blue either, so he needs to do a lot of damage. He's cutting out a lot of economy here to go for this push. I love that grenade usage. TY maybe overextending here for just a little bit. A couple SCVs are going down right now, but a lot of those Reapers will be picked off as well. Hellion, though, coming out here in a second, so TY is aware of the fact that he's basically on a timer here, and I think for now, this is basically all he's going to be able to do. Okay, so 4 workers here ended up going down in total. That definitely does, you know, give TY a subtle little lead, maybe, but it's nothing too crazy. The bunker can now simply be salvaged as well, so it's like a piggy bank. If you want to do good to your children, you start them a piggy bank early. That's basically what a bunker is. Terran families oftentimes are seen creating a bunker for when their Terran children go to college. No, I don't know, but there's no denying that bunkers are relatively low commitment, and Maru is going to be able to salvage those and then just simply start producing what he had anticipated here earlier on as well. Now, obviously, Maru could try and capitalize on this scenario by going for an aggressive push. Another option for him is to try and go for a command center on the low ground, and that's in a way also capitalization on the scenario. TY, though, already did build himself that CC2. It's this weird dynamic where you kind of want to have it, you know, out earlier so you can lift it up as well, just in case that is needed. So right now, Maru, for example, is going to try and, you know, maybe do a little bit of counter pressure. I love this, though. Great move by TY. Leaving some of those Reapers behind, it's sort of forcing Maru to stay at home as well. But if Maru had decided to go for a push to the other side of the map, the command center needed to be done already so TY could actually lift it up and therefore keep it alive. Anyways, this is actually, all things considered, nothing too terrible for TY, right? He didn't deal that much damage. Ooh. Oh my god, that's so cheeky. Well, there you go. Eventually, Maru is going to be able to get rid of those units, but still. TY is getting the value out of the army that he made, and he actually got 6 SCVs there in the grand scheme of things. I do think, though, that Maru has got that slight little advantage right now. Not only is he going to be able to start putting on the pressure right here on his opponent, he's also going to be able to start producing a wide variety of units. Whereas it kind of feels like TY is the one who's still forced to continuously pile on the pressure. TY, though, trying to figure out roughly what it is his opponent is going for. Once again, sending back in that barracks. It will likely end up falling here, but scouting info is absolutely humongous in TVT. And, well, apparently, just with being faced off against the one Marine, the bunker, or the barracks rather, has decided that it's time to head on home again as well. Liberator here on the left-hand side, waiting for the correct time to go in. It hasn't been spotted yet, I don't think, but Marines are already waiting for the potential push. Well, I say that, and apparently all they were really waiting for was the evac. So they do manage to load up into that med-evac, but at this point, there's really not that much available for Maru to defend against this Liberator. I think as soon as TY realizes that it is indeed going to be that that drop coming across the map, he's likely gonna push in as well. The Marine there will be picked off. Barracks once again gonna continue scouting. But this is an important part in the game. So Maru is currently looking like he wants to queue up a drop right here inside of the main base of TY. Now that's where the third command center is being produced as well. Very greedy play here once again for our Terran player in blue. And while indeed these units will be able to unload, keep in mind there's 2 siege tanks there as well. If they get in a good position, that's a difficult position to defend. Great interference matrix right there, preventing that siege tanks from dealing a bunch of damage here as well. One of the tanks already ended up... Oh my god. Great control there by Maru. Woo, I love that so much. At the same time, though, the Liberator that was waiting for the great opportunity finally found its time, and it is going to be able to start dealing some damage as well. But that, oh man, that Raven control was brilliant. Really getting a lot of that value. Interference matrix, though, now being utilized as well in favor of TY. He's going to be able to pick up one tank, and then the second one here in just a little bit as well. And actually, all things considered, it's probably TY who came out ahead after that aggression. Even though Maru looked really solid there, I think we can all look at the supply count right now and realize, in particular with that third command center out, that TY is in a really good spot. Maru, though, in the meantime, already built up his third command center as well. He's going to be able to start landing mules here in just a second. There we go. That's the third one joining in those yellow mining machine. Pretty sure nobody knows where the mules actually come from. I've asked this question many, many times before over at the live stream, where the mules come from. They drop out of the sky, and then they just appear. Now, some people hypothesize that apparently it's the Hyperion up above, but that's just a little bit strange, because that means that Matt Horner likes to see his other Terran troops die. It's kind of a little messed up, right? If you think about it a little bit more. So instead, I'm pretty sure it's a religion. But then again, I've got many questions. Where do mules come from? Where do babies come from? I think these are things we'll probably never figure out. TY, though, setting himself up for a bit of a push. I like this position a lot. He can actually shell away right there at the mineral line. Really nicely done. And even though there's not a lot of air here available for our player in the blue, he still does have a bunch of Marines to potentially get rid of those siege tanks as well. Now, that's a greedy siege up. Ugh, both players losing a tank there. And this actually hurts Maru quite a bit, though. Look at the supply count, right? TY continuously building up more and more of that production right now. 4 additional barracks will come up, bringing the grand total up to 5 right now. 1 barracks, or 1 factory, 1 starport here for the time being. But he is going to be able to start producing a silly amount of units here in a little bit. And he's still dealing a lot of damage. This is such a rough position. This isn't even really meant to like finish the game or whatever. It's just meant to deal a bunch. Look at the target firing on the auto turret. Did you see that? So sick. This is just meant to deal a little bit of pressure. And a little bit of pressure he certainly did. Because while that's all going on, he's going to be able to start producing a lot more units. Now that these 4 reactors are finishing up, you'll be able to see the supply count skyrocket in favor of TY, who's already ahead in that regard right now. Maru, though, up with his back against the wall right now in a way, right? He could decide to go for like an aggressive push, which I wouldn't really mind. But I think in most scenarios when you're in this situation, it's better to just simply play defensively and defend whatever it is your opponent is pushing with. And it's difficult to make that call. Yeah, things like, for example, a center tower are really good. That way you can keep track of a certain area of the map so you know where to focus the positioning of your army. But TVT is a lot like chess in that way, you know? Like, you have to take control of a certain segment of the map. In chess, obviously, that's the board. Usually in chess, if you can take control of the center of the board, you're in a more powerful position. But obviously, that does leave you vulnerable to attacks from the sides as well. And that's kind of what we're seeing right now in TVT too. Siege tanks, liberators, as well as this like group of air units is really good of taking control, or really good at taking control of a certain part of the map, but it can't be everywhere. And if you're the aggressor, oftentimes you can be the one who can be a lot more flexible with the positioning, right? And it's a lot easier in these kind of scenarios to be the aggressor rather than to be the defensive player. Anyways, Fort Command Center has already been acquired. Rather than taking the one right here on the left or the one in the center, TY is now expanding towards the right-hand side. Kind of like that decision, actually. We'll see where Maru decides to go for his base. But yeah, this is where the fight will happen, and this is where the game will become very difficult for Maru. He's been setting up a lot of defensive tanks right here inside of the main as well as the natural, but he needs them over here. Obviously, though, this does open him up. Yeah, there you go. It does open him up to Liberator aggression, which Maru already, or TY already did set up. Big push forward right now, though. Ooh, Maru is going to have to deal with a lot of those siege tanks. Keep in mind, the anti-armor missile hurts these Marines a ton. And with that air superiority right now as well for TY, he's going to be in a really solid spot. Still, he has to be careful. Ooh, great anti-armor missile right there for Maru, but there is just simply not enough. And TY is the one who obtained the victory in game number 3. Alright, here's another thing that always boggles my mind about both of these players. And I know I've been fanboying for like over a half hour right now. I think it's like a half hour, but anyways. Another thing that always boggles my mind about both of these players is how young they actually are. So I've been watching both of them for like a decade right now. I remember watching Maru, for example, back in 2010 when he qualified for the GSL Code S, which at the time was also the highest level tournament in ST2. Now, obviously, the skill level was much, much lower. But here's the thing. Maru, while he qualified for the GSL Code S in 2010, right now, in 2019, he is 21 years old. You can do the math, okay? You can do the math yourself. I'm not going to, but you can do the math. He was a very, very young kid when he first qualified, and he's just been getting better and better and better ever since. Now, TY, he's a fun story when it comes to age as well. TY joined We Made Fox, a professional gaming team, in StarCraft 1 at age 12. So yeah, he's 24 right now. He's been doing pro gaming for literally the majority of his life, which is... yeah, he joined the pro gaming team We Made Fox at age 12. For a long time in StarCraft 1, and I think he actually only changed his nickname when StarCraft 2 came out, but for a long time he didn't go by the name of TY, he went by the name of Baby. Because, well, he was literally, well, he was not literally a baby, but I guess people gave him the nickname Baby because he was so very young when he first started playing. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely insane when you think about it. The skill level that both of these guys have been able to grow over the years is just, it's just ludicrous. Actually, leading up to BlizzCon, they made a couple of videos about some of the pro gamers as well, and Maru did mention that he did feel a little sad sometimes that he missed out some of those like regular school activities and the things that a lot of kids will be able to do when they grow up. He instead obviously got the chance to foster the dream of being a pro gamer, but you know, while it might seem awesome to be a pro gamer for most of your teenage life, in these cases, pretty much their entire teenage life, obviously it is still, you know, it's not all just rainbows and sunshine, I suppose. I guess it is also one of those things where you sacrifice maybe some of the best years in your life in order to chase a dream. Anyways, that's a completely different subject. I could talk about that for hours, but yeah. There's no denying that both of these guys have been playing in video games and at this level of play for a really long time. They've been very good, and they've been able to grow their skill level more so over time as well. Anyways, much more orthodox opener right here from both players here in game 2. Maru also going for that low ground expansion a little bit later than his opponent. TY already finishing his up. But for the most part, this is one of those openers that's going to allow Maru to get more units out earlier while still maintaining a solid economy. And TY is going to be able to get himself a solid economy first and then start producing more units as well. Obviously, TY's version, a little bit greedier, but it's not like he's going to be lacking units here in the early game either. We'll see if he's going for a tech lab here. Is he going to follow it up with... Oh, we'll see. Not just yet. No, he's instead going to go for a marine right now. Okay. No, he's going to go... Okay, I was going to say, maybe you could do the switcheroo, or maybe you can do the switcheroo right here on the factory to start producing some of those cyclones as well. Cyclones are really solid, obviously, right now. But anyways, we'll see where this one is going to go. So, Maru, with that quicker starport and with the quicker tech lab, has decided to go for the banshee instead. Banshee with the cloaking field as well. Kind of curious since TY has shown quick Raven play in every single match so far, and it's going to be the case in this one as well. TY though so far doesn't really have any kind of anti-air. So he's got the detection here ready to go, but he does need some units that shoot up as well. There we go. Marines are obviously going to be an excellent choice, but you do need quite a few of them. Cloaking field will finish up here in just a little bit. Where is the Banshee? Okay, it is apparently leaving through the northern end of the map. TY though at the same time is pushing forward. This might trigger this Banshee to turn around, but it's not the case right now. This is actually rather scary though. Maru doesn't have that many defensive units at home right now. That one Cyclone though, that can definitely change the tide of battle really, really easily. Repair will be forced here as well. Already though, anticipating that, TY threw one of those grenades forward. And since there's no wall right here at the top of the ramp, TY is going to be able to just simply roll into that main base right now as well. At the same time, while this is happening, the Banshee has made its way to the other side of the map. And it's going to start shooting away right here at as many of those SCVs as possible. Interference Matrix though being utilized there, TY is going to be able to get rid of that unit. And while TY also ended up killing some of those SCVs, it's only 6 in total, and actually that did cost him 6 Hellions there as well as that Reaper. So it's hard to say actually who really got out ahead there. Maru definitely not in a bad scenario. It's really hard to justify killing workers obviously, but this is great micro here as well by Maru. Ooh. There's actually not enough really to defend against this, and Maru is going to continuously show us some of that damage. But yeah, eventually the second Banshee did join in. Or the second Raven rather did join in. The second Banshee as well, for what it's worth. And while the first Banshee did end up falling, the second one right here... Oh man, this is so much damage. Maru is not slowing down. Yeah, this is very painful. Very, very painful here for TY. But that's the risk you take, right, when you go for an opener that's based around Hellions. Maru, though, already anticipating the scenario, decided to now send that siege tank across the map as well. All of a sudden, I don't think TY is going to be too happy that he uses auto turrets on relatively unimportant things. The Banshee's still looking strong, and Maru at this point is just rallying units from his side to the map to the other side. He knows that there's not going to be any pressure coming here anytime soon, so he's going to be able to deny mining here for so very long. And Maru, man, showing us some spectacular micro. Getting so much value out of the units that he's got. He's going to be able to just simply clean up so much of this. Now sure, auto turrets here, wonderful, right? Maybe you're going to be able to get rid of one of those tanks. Excellent work, but still, the amount of time that TY has not been mining here is insane. Now eventually though, it does look like this should be cleaned up. Tank there, beautiful move. TY is going to be able to get rid of that once and for all. But yeah, Maru, he's been macroing up behind this as well. Got himself the third command center already up. 26 worker kills there. I mean, here I was hyping up TY's 6 worker kills initially. Actually, even a third Banshee want to join in. Now, I'm not sure if that's maybe just a little bit too much. Yeah, that's not gonna happen, Maru. I like the idea, though. I like the thought a lot, but that's not gonna happen. But yeah, this is definitely a game that's in favor right here of Maru right now. Now, keep in mind, even though Maru has that advantage, TY actually has a large army here, and even though Maru has an advantage, it doesn't mean he can just close out the victory. Terran versus Terran is unique in that sense. Alright. Now, I'm curious that Maru has decided to send out this many units towards the center of the map. Actually, he's continuously making more Banshees. Kinda surprised about that, right? Maybe he wants to, like, send them in while also pushing with his main army? I always kind of get anxious whenever Terran players do this, when they just send their entire army out into the map. Because it means that you just don't have anything to deal with any kind of pressure. Oh, man. There you go. Picking up a couple of those units at a time, right? With good target firing, you can pick up some of those Marines. There you go. There you go. There you go. Such a cheeky player. This was supposed to be countered ages ago. Oh, uh-oh. At the same time, the other Banshee, though, in the top side of the map, or on the top side of the map, it is going to be forced away, and I think it might actually end up dying here as well. Good pickup right there by TY, but look at the supply count, right? That's once again that third command center coming into play. Maru has been mining off of that third CC for a little while. He's going to be able to defend against this relatively easily, right? I mean, his supply count actually, when it comes to army, just barely not in favor of him, but obviously the defender's advantage of his units just simply spawning closer to the aggression is going to be solid. Now, one thing he doesn't have, though, is that air lead, right? There's not a lot of anti-air here, actually, for Maru. And since siege tanks can shoot away further than they can see, this is one of those things that can actually hurt quite a bit. I love the fact that TY decided to mix in a Banshee too. That Banshee, obviously, is going to be really useful. Missile turrets actually being picked off relatively easily too, and actually maybe Maru overextended just a little bit. I think he may have just done a little bit too much here when it comes to the Banshee play. He needs anti-air. He needs like Vikings. He's making a couple of medevacs right now as well. I don't know if that's what he wants at this point, to be honest. Medevacs are going to be nice, obviously, for a counter drop, but TY is going to be able to continuously push forward here. Ooh, man, such a large advantage for Maru, but he's still not in that spectacular of a position. Right now, a lot of SCVs are going down. Keep in mind, though, no third command center, and actually Maru is setting up a sandwich. He wants to set up a sandwich right now. Now, 2 siege tanks were indeed matrix there as well. But here we go. They do have stim, so they're going to be able to stim forward here. 1-1 is done as well, and that means that all of a sudden there's a Terran sandwich coming from every single side. A lot of those Marines will be sacrificed, but every single last of those siege tanks will be killed. Maru defending that, but just barely. Landing the Vikings right now is TY as well. He basically put all of his eggs in one basket. There is no third command center here for the Terran player in blue, so he meant to win the game right here, right now. And while I think this was a good effort, I don't know if it's going to be enough. Well, he's not giving up just yet. He still does have that air superiority. Did he ever actually get those... I guess the medevacs were picked off, right? Maybe they were on the left-hand side. I actually didn't pay attention to them, but... yeah, this is still a really, really good position here for Maru. Just simply having that third CC, really important. He right now also confirmed indeed that there is no third base mining here for Maru, or for TY, and yeah, only just now is TY gonna start that one up. Still though, right? This is what happens when you make like, what was that, like 4 or 5 Banshees rather than the regular 2? TY noticed that as well. He recognized that there's likely not going to be that much to defend, and he moved across the map at a really solid time. Well, here we go. Counterattack once again. And TY indeed is going to be the one who will be forced to GG out. And that means we are actually headed to game number 5. Please go for a proxy. Please go for a proxy. Maru, I've seen your proxy so many times. Oh my god, I love it so much. So this is what Maru did at WESG as well. He ended up proxying Dark at the time with proxy barracks, right? He decided to go for a marine cheese for $200,000. Imagine putting it all on the line with some sort of stupid cheese for $200,000. And he was just sitting there smiling as well. This cheeky Maru smile is what separates champions, man. It's so hard to make that decision. Now, obviously, this is not going to be for $200,000, but just the balls on this man. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're like bowling balls, okay? Like, I'm pretty sure when he goes through the airport security, they have to like double scan him because, man, it's so difficult to make those kind of calls, and Maru does them regularly. All right, we'll see where this one is going to go. Double barracks coming up. Very aggressive position as well. TY might actually be able to scout this. Normally, we actually see proxies going down over here or over there or somewhere over there. Maybe he knows roughly where usually Maru or TY scouts. Well, instead, TY. Did I say Maru and TY? I think I've been confusing the nicknames every once in a while. But anyways, TY is indeed going to now send that SCV straight across the map. Trying to find the little pointer where it's headed. But anyways, He will be able to confirm that it is indeed going to be that proxy cheese just by seeing the lack of a structure there at the top of the ramp. Double gas here being taken for Maru. So it is indeed going to be that Reaper play once more. I think it is just going to be the double barracks. Double barracks, generally speaking, the most common variant here. And there indeed, we do now see the confirmation for TY. He doesn't know where it's at, but rather than going for the command center on the low ground, he's opting to go for a quicker factory, which is actually really important. So yeah, I don't know how much Maru wants to commit to this though. That's the thing about these kind of pushes. You don't have to commit too much. Keep in mind, Maru is not going for like the most aggressive variant. He's still going to be able to get that orbital command up. And he's still going to be able to continuously push here. If he can somehow slow down the SCV that's building the factory rather, he should be able to slow down the first Hellion as well. But already this is looking solid here for TY. Starport coming up even right now in the back of the of the main base here for our player in blue 2. Really like this, and with a Hellion coming out in a second, I don't think there's too much that Maru can achieve. Now, he has some of the most impressive micro when it comes to controlling Reapers in the world. Maybe not quite as good as, like, for example, a Bjorn, but he's got really, really solid micro. Speaking of Bjorn, by the way, he recently announced his StarCraft 2 retirement. So that's one of those things that I personally was a little bit sad about. Obviously, world champion of StarCraft in 2016, if I'm not mistaken. Bjorn's still a top-level Terran player, but he announced recently that he is going to go and do his military duty over in South Korea. Which means that he's forced to abandon pro gaming for the time being, at the very least. We'll see if he ever comes back. Anyways, good control here. Nice back and forth, actually, by both players. Maru trying to see if he can still deal a little bit of damage here. Not really dealing any of it, though, so far. I mean, sure, he's picking off units, but he does not get the SCV kills that he was really looking for. And I think that that can, you know, only mean an advantage right now for TY. He's got everything that he wanted, even got a tech lab right here on the starport, so I'm assuming it is going to be, once again, either a Raven or a Banshee. Instead, okay, yeah, sure. This is what we call the caster curse, right? Make a tech lab on the starport, then start producing a Liberator. And this is probably just to actually be a cheeky... Oh my god, that's so cheeky, right? Maru is gonna be able... And he actually purposefully delayed the Liberator as well. Just to... oh man, that's so cheeky. So Maru right now 100% assuming that this is going to be a Raven. He did not see the green light in the tech lab. He knows that it could be an uncloaked Banshee, I suppose. But purposefully waiting right there as well, just in case this... this barracks decided to hang above there until the end of it. If it would have seen the Liberator, obviously the plan was immediately spotted right here as well. But that does mean that right now Maru is not going to be all too bothered leaving units at home. Look at that. Rally point set across the map. If he saw that this was a Liberator, I can almost guarantee you that he decided to leave this single what's it called? Cyclone at home. And maybe he would have even gone for a Viking first as well. Lovely little play there by Maru. Or by TY, rather. Maru is going to be the one who's forced to defend this. And the Liberator will arrive here in just a bit. Now... Ooh. That one Reaper is going to focus this SCV down as well. That does mean, though, that the Cyclone is going to be sent across the map. And he doesn't want it there. The Cyclone is going to be moving across. And as soon as TY recognizes that, he's very likely... gonna go and send in that Liberator right now. Well, apparently he's not gonna wait. He's just gonna send it in right now. And this is one of those moments where you know you've been outsmarted. This is when you know you've been outsmarted. The walk of shame once again towards the other side. Sure, there's that Liberator. Sure, there's the Raven. But the Raven's not gonna really be able to do very much. I mean, it can throw up a missile turret or an auto turret. That's all nice, right? One Marine can certainly slow this down a little bit. That's nice, right? But look at the amount of lost mining time here. Liberator will be killed. But, yeah, supply-wise, TY has been happily macroing up. He's gonna go for the third command center to push his advantage even more so. And as long as he manages to defend whatever it is Maru wants to throw at him right now, he's once again gonna be able to get that third command center up and running. And with that, he can push a minute or two after it finishes with a much bigger army than Maru will be able to produce. Maru, though, not favoring the third command center just yet, instead going for a large amount of units. Obviously, he can certainly still, you know, win this game, but it is gonna require him to be in a really good position. Love this little play, though. The Raven, obviously, spotting the Cloaked Widowmine. Oh, I guess the Bird Widowmine. It's basically the same mechanic in SC2. Couple of Hellions moving in, though, for TY. I like this. That's once again going to force a lot of those units to continuously move back home. And this is what TY is trying to do. He's buying time, and he's defending aggression, just so he can get the 3rd command center up and therefore a bigger army a couple minutes down the line. Another option would have been for him to obviously go for a really aggressive push, but that's a risk, right? If the push gets defended, it's a risk. In this case, though, he's taking a small little risk, sending just 2 Hellions across the map, and he's decided to go for the command center instead, which in general terms will just simply be a smaller risk with a much potential higher reward. So rather than winning the game right then and there, he's decided to go for a more guaranteed advantage. When you're ahead, get more ahead. That's basically the thought process right now. One Raven trying to make its way across the map. I guess it's ready to put down some of those auto turrets as well. One Reaper though, I like this, right? One Reaper getting 4 SCV kills actually. That's much more than it was supposed to. But TY has decided that the time is right now to move across. Are there any tanks here actually for our red Terran player? There's only a single one. Okay, it just got loaded up into the medevac. I was gonna say, if you don't have any siege tanks, it's rough. TY though, mostly just posturing right now. Decides to pick up a couple SCVs. There you go. A couple more SCV. Oh my god, that's so much damage still, right? Jeez. 5 kills there. Cheeky one. It didn't look like it was going to deal that much damage initially, right? Because there was no target firing, but TY knowing much better how to control those than I can. Nicely done. Alright, 3rd CC will be able to land here. TY has been macroing up, but Maru, known for his macro, is not slowing down in this regard either. Supply-wise, he's actually managed to even up. And while he doesn't have that big economy, he does have a larger army than his opponent. So that's one thing to keep in mind, right? If Maru can get the position, he's in a good spot. But obviously, this high ground over here, man, that's such a nice area to defend. I don't see how it's going to happen. TY has got such a strong position up there. Yeah, Maru will be able to confirm this right now with his scan too. Only sieging up a couple of tanks, leaving the majority of them mobile as well. So he can just simply roll around and put them in the position where he likes them a little bit better. Raven once again trying to go in. Stimpack did, by the way, finish up right now for TY as well. It was already done, obviously, for Maru. Maru does have that advantage when it comes to the upgrades, although TY is double upgrading, whereas we only see a single engineering base, so that upgrade advantage is also running out here for Maru. Basically, everything is looking against Maru right now, to be honest. If he can get a really solid engagement, he's going to be in a good spot, and this might very well be the one. A lot of the siege tanks on the left-hand side. Yeah, there you go. Interference matrix being utilized there. Ooh, big anti-armor missile, though, is going to force a lot of those Marines to go back home once again as well. Interference matrix once again being utilized there on one of those tanks too, but for now, yeah. Maru could maybe have committed a little bit more there, but the thing is, you never know how many siege tanks there are in the back, and when you know your opponent already had more tanks than you do, it's rough. Now that's a nice push. Maru did end up getting one of those tanks there for basically free. But yeah, I still see this one as a big advantage here for TY. Liberators coming up right now too. So TY going for the Liberators. Very, very good at forcing the unsiege, of course. And this army here for Maru, while it's definitely not bad, it's far less sophisticated. There's far less like variety here in the units, and it just simply makes it hard to win the game with just pure Marines as well as a couple siege tanks. Liberators are going to be able to make their way even across the map. I thought he was going to use those defensively, but instead he wants to set them on the offense. But while that's all going on though, even though I've been hyping up TY quite a lot here, Maru did manage to secure himself that 3rd CC, plus he hasn't really lost a big chunk of his army, right? Like, units lost-wise, I think this has been, yeah, basically dead even for a really long time. Well, there's apparently a bit of an aggressive push here over on the side of TY. But, yeah, this is still definitely something that I think we can look at and call an advantage for TY. Now, supply-wise, though, Maru has been able to even up the score. I'm quite surprised actually that TY decided to sit so defensively after the 3rd CC initially landed. I thought what he did earlier in the series, where he pushed right after he secured that big economy, was really good. But apparently in this game he didn't want to move out. Maybe it's to do with that small hit squad of Maru's units that were out as well, which was technically a smaller army, but maybe TY assumed his opponent meant to be aggressive with that, which would be a sick mind game obviously by Maru as well, right? Pretending to be aggressive to try and counter an attack that your opponent might be going for. but your army is much weaker. Like, you appear to be strong, but you're not actually strong. There's a lot of mind games here at play. Love it. Stim forward. Ugh. Maru wanted to try and get the command center killed there, but not gonna happen here. At the same time, though, big counterattack force here. I love this. TY decided to load up a whole lot of those medevacs, and he's gonna be able to start dealing some damage here over at the third base of the Terran player in red. And that siege tank in the back should be able to eventually shoot us all away, but yeah, that certainly was still a little bit annoying for Maru to deal with. And all of a sudden, it now also opened up the opportunity for TY to move across the map with the army that he's got. This has been an issue the entire game long so far. TY hasn't been able to really move across, but right now he's got the chance. At the same time, though, Maru has been caught on the other side of the map with the majority of his force. That means we have a bit of an awkward base race, it looks like. Instead, though, TY, he's not going to push the advantage. He's going to try and move back. I don't know if that's going to be the correct choice. Maru is sitting right now in that really strong position. Obviously, though, there's still reinforcing army units here coming up for TY as well. But TY going for the move back there? Ooh, I wonder if that was the correct call. He will be able to force his army away, but I really felt like he could deal so much more damage on the other side of the map. Alright, well, whew. That was a butt-clenching moment right there, right? Like, that was something. TY looked like he wanted to go for a big push, then decided to go back immediately. Like, the decision-making was so quick as well. A lot of those Marines, though, very low in hit points. There's a couple more medevacs here still available for TY, and he's going to be the one right now who will start piling on the pressure. That high ground advantage that Maru had, or rather that TY had on his side of the map, is not going to be the case here. Interference matrices once again shutting down a couple of those siege tanks. Once more, though, the Marines are going to try and stim forward, but there's so much available here for TY. He's got so many tanks left over, and indeed, TY is the one who wins this series in a very well-fought 3-2 fashion. What an awesome game. I hope you enjoyed watching this match. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more, you know what to do. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. A special shout out to the Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? And I will see you once again in the next one.